Hi, good evening, good afternoon, and good day, wherever you're joining us from. This is your favorite show, The Niger We Want. With me here today is our intercontinental moderator, Mr. Wale Olaiton. You are welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Dr. Vicky. As I said last week, it's very good to hear that, a very, encouraging description. I love it. So
Exactly.
yeah, good to be back.
Always good to be back, and happy Easter. Today is Easter Friday. And happy Easter to everyone joining us, watching us, listening to us, or replaying this a bit later. Happy Easter to all of you. Hope you're all enjoying this break. It's worldwide. We're all just taking a break and using the time to reflect on, if you're a Christian, reflect on the sacrifice that Jesus made for us. So happy Easter to you all. And wherever you're joining us from, we will appreciate it if you can type it. Just tell us, wherever you're joining us from, just type it into the comment box. I'm from Lagos. I'm watching you from Lagos. I'm watching you from San Diego, from Werribee, Melbourne, or from Canberra, wherever. Just share it with us. We'd like to know. We would really love to know. So, Mr. Wale Olaiton, how are you enjoying this Easter break? I know
Yeah, so
you would have taken time out.
yeah, I joined Dr. Vicky in sending Easter greetings to all of our global viewers. Today being Good Friday and a public holiday, so it's been more of a relaxing day. Like you know that with a short week, so you're pretty much doing 5 days work in 4 days.
Mhm,
Just so I had very busy Monday to Thursday, obviously
mhm.
because of the public holiday today.
Yep,
It's been just a relaxing time with the
with the
family.
family.
I
Yes.
spent most of the time indoors. The kids, I had to go to Docklands. There's this popular place that we've been there a few times. It's called Crappy Crabs. They sell this seafood. So there's a place in Dockland. So it's one of we've been there a few times. So the kids actually dragged me out this afternoon to get that now
And how
getaway.
would you describe the place? Is it nice? Is it
It's
some?
nice. It's in Docklands.
Mhm,
They are into seafood,
mhm.
and they make it into these beautiful but mainly they specialize in seafood, and they're really
Seafood.
good with it every time. So they dragged me there this afternoon just to get take away for dinner. So
Yeah,
otherwise it's been a very quiet one.
quiet one.
Yeah.
Mm. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. I just got back home. We have a week away.
Yeah.
We cruised and then we go back to Melbourne and stayed in the city for a few more
Okay.
days. I think for 4 days. So we just
Oh,
arrived back home like a couple of hours ago.
we go. Okay.
So yeah, it
Yeah,
was
happy birthday to your main
to
man
my
and
my
Doctor
doctor
Man.
man, the
Yeah,
DD
so
man.
it's
Yes,
happy birthday to him on behalf of
I'll pass your greetings to
yes
him.
on I'm
Mm.
actually saying on behalf of Elvis and our dear Egbon. Okay, Elvis, surprise.
Yes,
Okay, surprise.
Niger man
Igbo, Igbo
and
Kwenu.
Manchester man.
Surprise.
I hope you can hear me.
We
I'm in
can hear you,
Idumota Market.
Egbon.
I'm running through Idumota Market. So
Whoa.
Okay,
yeah,
so
I'm
welcome.
How is
Yeah,
Niger treating you? Egbon is not
uh,
there to spoil you, so how's it
so
treating
far
you?
so far so good.
I can't hear you.
Oh, you can hear us. Egbon can't, and we can hear you, Egbon.
We can hear you. Are we going straight?
We can hear you. Maybe you log out and log back in.
yeah.
Oh,
Egbon said earlier that is somewhere in transit from between
yes.
Manchester and London. So probably
Mm.
that explains why we've not been able to hear him. So,
To him,
Mr.
yes.
Yemi Shodimo, so we can see you. Please try again and log in
Yeah.
and log in.
So, Mr. Elvis, Naija dey sweet, abi?
Well, so far so good. You know what begins with me? I'm still trying to, find my way around and get around things. But
Mhm.
Mr.
I
Shodimo,
can't complain.
can you
Yeah.
hear me?
Mm.
I don't think he can.
Is
Mr.
that me?
Shodimo.
I can't hear you.
Okay, I think Mr. Shodimo is having some
Everybody's
issues here.
struggling. So,
Anyway, sorry.
yes, I just wanted to check with Elvis. Cash, how is that going?
Uh,
Is that still a problem there?
Sorry, I don't know if you can
The
hear me.
clash.
I don't know if you can hear me. I can hardly hear you.
We can hear
I
you
can
loud and
hardly hear
clear.
you. It's so noisy here.
My director.
Oh, okay.
Oh dear.
Okay. Looking at the times, if you
Yeah.
just join us, you are your number one show, the Nigeria we want. On the show tonight, so we have Mr. Yemi Shodimi, United Kingdom, trying to join us. He's having some issues. He's having some technical issues, and we have Mr. Elvis Nwachukwu join us from Lagos, Nigeria. Myself and Dr. Vicky, we are here in Melbourne, in Australia. So on the show, tonight we're discussing marriage, and we'll be looking specifically at the topic marriage institution under threat, under rising cases of divorce among young couples. So that is what we'll be discussing. But before we go into that main topic, I will quickly go to Dr. Vicky just to know what is trending for her. So what is trending for you, Dr. Vicky?
I heard that. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. I heard that the government is trying to put some law into place, stopping doctors from leaving the country. They want to make it a must for them to serve at least 5 years within Nigeria before they can move overseas, go somewhere else to work. So they must graduate here and then work for 5 good years.
Hmm.
So that is what is trending for me. If you're going to make that kind of law for them to stay and bind them here and make sure they stay for 5 years, what are the provisions? What do you have for them? In terms of jobs, in terms of payment of their salaries. The other what is trending for me is about a pharmacist, a popular pharmacist in Abuja, whose son, also a pharmacist, he died actually. The guy died. And what happened was he was involved in an accident. Somebody ran into him in Abuja. Um, and They took him to the hospital, general hospital. He got there 3 hours. They didn't do anything for him. They wanted him to, they wanted him to have, ultrasound and all the scanning first before they can touch him. So no first aid, no nothing. So the man, this happened. The accident happened on the 1st of April, actually. Is now shouting and asking for that hospital, the teaching hospital, to be closed down, because by the time the son was now transported to a private hospital for the scan to be done and it was brought back, of course all his veins had already collapsed, and nothing, he eventually died, which shows a lot about the um, the I don't care attitude of some of our medical practitioners that were supposed to care and do their best for whatever whichever patient comes their way. So that's such a painful thing. I mean, to have trained a child through university, and then he just graduated. He probably still doing his he's still serving. I'm not sure, but this guy already a graduate a pharmacist died because of negligence of those people who believe that they have power in their hands, not thinking, not putting themselves in other people's position. That's so sad.
Thank you, Dr. Vicky. So I will just test with Mr. Shodimo. Mr. Shodimo, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you loud and
Oh, okay,
clear.
that's good. So,
Yeah.
what is training for you? I saw you at the stamp. Yeah, where were you?
That
At
was
the
Old Trafford.
Old
Uh,
Trafford. So
yes,
let's
I was
start
at the
from there.
Old.
What is training for you, Mr. Shodimo?
Well, for starters, right now I'm reaching you from the Manchester Piccadilly station on my way back to London. However, I had a bit of what Dr. Vicky said, the last bit of it. And from my experience here, I've seen medical practice at maybe its best in terms of facilities, in terms of personnel. It's very saddening for me, I must say. It's very humbling for me. Uh, I have a relative that is presently hospitalized, and I had a first-hand experience of their facilities and services provided. I I must say it's even more painful with the fact that the whole system is, let me use the word, littered with Nigerians, doctors, nurses, paramedics. You have Nigerians anywhere you turn to, you find them there. And why we still keep getting it wrong at home, God knows. A lot has been pumped into the system here, and it's very, it's, I honestly, I have a lot of pains in my heart as I'm saying this, but that honestly to me is what is trending. We really need to put our acts together. It's not space science. It only calls for people to, leaders to care, to show the way, and let's get things right. And you're not paying, you're not spilling your blood to receive these services. You're not being squeezed out of your life in terms of payment to receive these services. It's just putting the right things in place, right system in place, and we'll be there. But I think I should just leave it at that. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Mr. Yamin Shodemo. Our one of our panelists, Mr. Yamin Shodemo, is reporting there from Manchester, in the United Kingdom. Thank you so much. I'll go to this is really looking global. I go to Mr. Albisi Washiku, reaching us from Lagos, Nigeria. Mr. Washiku, what's going on there?
Well, it does not. Honestly, I haven't, because I had about 23 hours of flight. I'm just trying to settle in. I haven't really kept my eyes, out for the news to know what the latest is. But all I see around me is I see a lot of construction work ongoing. A lot of them are incomplete, and thereby making it impossible, or almost, difficult for people to get around. Every part of Lagos you get to, there's traffic. We have had to be locked in somewhere where
Yeah.
and that's where we are. Do you want to say hello to the camera or last one? So this is my guide trying to take us through to our destination. All right, yeah. So I haven't kept my eyes much out for the news, but Hey, this is what I'm saying physically on ground. Yeah, that's what's trending for me.
Thank you, Mr.
Wale. Yeah, sorry, Wale. Quickly, you talked about my experience at Old Trafford. Maybe I should just quickly mention that.
Okay,
It was
please do.
awesome.
I saw
It
a
was,
couple of your
yes,
videos there.
it was awesome. Despite not being a Man U fan, certainly not one. I'm a Gunner, as in being an Arsenal fan, but my experience there was awesome. The crowd was awesome. You have fans
I guess it's
screaming from the beginning, to the end, and of course, the match was also good. Though I can tell you that that team that I saw will be easily beaten by Arsenal. But it was my very first experience of a live football match in UK,
In UK,
and that experience will live with me.
for a
I
very, very
enjoyed
long.
it. I enjoyed it. Management of crowd. That's something I took away from there. It was such a large, big crowd, and they were able to manage them. That's something we also need to learn. That's it. Don't let me take too much of your time.
Okay, thank you. So I quickly say what is trending for me. What is trending for me is like some young people that they need to learn a bit about history. They've been dragging Professor Wale Soyinka. They've been dragging him on social media in the last 48 hours. And I just think that there's a high level of ignorance that is really out there. Because I actually listened to the comment. The comment, he was interviewed on Arise TV, and it was just he was reflecting on comment made by Dati, the vice presidential candidate of the Labour Party, where Dati was like saying that the Supreme Court must agree with them. Even this is just a case before the court. The language and the tone was more around that the Supreme Court had no choice not to agree with the case they brought before the court. And pretty much Professor Wale Soyinka was responding to that. And he said, look, that kind of language, no matter what we think about the judiciary, no matter what we think about the Supreme Court, remains the apex judiciary body in Nigeria. And the language, and that is said in his mind that such fascistic kind of language is not something that you use when you actually talking about the judiciary, especially the Supreme Court. That was what he said. In that same interview, he said he is in support of the movement. He supports the emergence of the new kid on the block. So he was using that, referring to Peter Obi. But he also said that there's a need for him to, at least in the way, to caution his supporters. That was what he said. So, but like what we've witnessed in the recent months is either you are for the obedience or you're against them. If you express any views, no matter how logical or sensible your views are, if that view differs from what they really expect you to say, they'll come after you. And that's what they've done. And it's very sad. They also came after Kingsley Moghalu. Kingsley Moghalu, he made a tweet in support of Professor Wale Soyinka, and then they came after him. So that has been a very interesting, trend. And I just think that we need to talk about it. It's still democracy. People have the right to support, and people have the right to have divergent views. And they should be able to express those views without being, I guess, it's just a crazy mob mentality that I think some of these are young people. They need to learn about it that, when Soyinka was really fighting for the struggle, their grandparents were somewhere in their villages, doing some other things. So I would just stop there. Sorry?
Just before you stop there,
We have the
thank you
video.
for.
I never heard anyone from any side threaten the judiciary the way I heard it when Mr. Dati was speaking on television when I came. And again, while awaiting that decision, I never heard the kind of language, the kind of menacing, blackmailing language as that which was to which we were treated by Mr. Dati. And that kind of attitude and that kind of go do or die kind of provocation is not what I think we've all been struggling for. I have been distressed, however, by this certain aspects of this movement, which for me tended towards the fascistic. And we haven't come this way, all this distance, made all this sacrifice to watch the entire procedure being jeopardized permanently with unpredictable consequences if we get to a situation where threatening menacing language is being used, where people are beginning to be afraid to talk, to advise, to contribute, simply because there's disagreement over tactics. And so this is what I was objecting to in Dati's performance.
Wale, I am fully with you on what you said. I am fully with Professor Wole Soyinka. And it's like, I don't know, I think there is a degree of opium in the air. But it's okay. The mob has a right to scream and shout, even if it doesn't have any basis for it. But there isn't anything to add to it. He has said it all. He has said it all. And you have made very strong points about this.
Definitely.
So let's just move on.
Okay, thank you. So if you just join us, we are discussing marriage in Nigeria. Specifically, we're looking at marriage institution under threat over rising cases of divorce among young couples. Courtesy of our producer, Mr. Labi, I quickly, provide a background to the topic. The traditional family, which is an association of persons or group of people related by blood, is the bedrock of every society. Since society is a community made of families, the institution of marriage is considered noble and more often as sacred. This is because of its religious affiliation and a level of recognition in laws. However, a marriage can be brought to an end or divorce where it is considered to have broken down irretrievably. This is what couples explore in a failing marriage to break up or end the marital union. In Nigeria, the level of divorce seems to be on the rise, although Nigeria is not among the top 12 countries with highest divorce rates in the world, like Maldives, Kazakhstan, Kazakhstan, Russia, Belgium, Belarus, Moldova, China, Cuba, Ukraine, Denmark, and US. Marriages in the country have continued to witness divorce. Many marriages are witnessing collapse, and the level of divorce seems to be on the rise, more than before, with about 3% of marriages in Nigeria are dissolved through divorce or separation. This has been blamed on several factors like lack of commitment, financial challenges, infidelity, and lack of physical intimacy. So, why are marriages in Nigeria getting dissolved, and what hope is for that institution? So that is just the background. I quickly go to throw this to the panelists. So why are we witnessing breakup of marriages, especially among young couples in Nigeria? I'll start with Dr. Vicky Omifolaji.
Okay. Marriage is an institution. Marriage is an institution. Is when we now look at marriage as we look at building a house, there is foundation to be made. And I've shared this a long time and again on this platform, that there was a time when we were building a double-story house. We got the builder, we gave him the contract, we already had an architect design the house that we wanted, and then we now went away on holiday. So the job was supposed to have started. So they started digging before we left. So we left the second day of them digging for the foundation. We were away for 6 weeks and we got back, they were still digging. So I came back. I was just like, because I thought by the time we got back there, they would have gotten to certain stage. And I had to say to the builder, were you guys sleeping when we were away? What did you do? And this guy had to show me on paper the measurement that the foundation had to go, for them to dig and get deeper. It has to be this certain measurement because the weight of the bricks and everything had to measure up so that it doesn't collapse, so that we can pass by the time they complete the build. So they can give us certificate of occupancy. If they didn't do that, something could have gone wrong. And from time to time, there are inspectors that will come and check. If they fail, then it costs much money, it costs much delay, and all that kind of stuff. It's the same thing with marriage. If you don't dig and create solid foundation, whether you're a Christian or you're a Muslim or whatever you serve, you need to have a solid foundation. Most of the marriages, they're just on this, right, in this day and age I'm talking about now, they are on the surface. It's about what I can get out of this person, or what this person can give me, or how this person can help and uplift me. It's not about what I'm bringing into the relationship any longer. The foundation comes from what you are bringing to the table, how you two are working together, because you're coming together with baggages. My baggage, your baggage, we're bringing those baggages together. And some of those baggages, whatever is in them, they are not pleasant at all. How can you walk through all those? When you sit down with people that have great marriages and you ask them, solid questions, they will be able to tell you that it's not it's marriage is not that, everything is or beautiful, everything is. I mean, let's ask Egbon has been in this for many many years, and we can when I see picture of himself and his wife, the connection, you can see it without them even saying anything to you. It's so out there. It's so out there. So it all goes back into the foundation. I mean, doesn't mean Egbo and Auntie doesn't even fight at all. Doesn't mean they don't argue. Doesn't mean there are days that Auntie feels like, this guy, just go and sleep in the garage. I don't want to see you. There are days like that. But we always walk through such times. But when partners, when women, they are listening to influencers that are spending money to do their backside, to increase their yash, and this person is trying to influence them, telling them that appreciate your body. The person that doesn't even appreciate her own body, okay, that injected herself, I mean, that got injection into her bum to increase it. And what kind of influence? I mean, when we say somebody is under an influence of drug, influence of alcohol, I mean, that person can't think for themselves. That person can't walk through their issues because they are listening to somebody that doesn't even know anything about relationship. Who are those that they are going under their influence? They are listening to them. They are watching them. They want to be like them. And then you are telling me marriages are failing. They will fail now, because who is in there in that foundation? Who? I think we'll talk some more. So I'll let Egbon also put some
Oh, okay.
points into
Thank
this.
you, Dr. Vicky. Mr. Shodimo, on that same, first question. So why are marriages, breaking up in Nigeria so early, especially among young couples?
Thank you, Wale. Thank you, Dr. Vicky. I completely agree with all Dr. Vicky has said, but I'm going to add something to it. She spoke about having a solid foundation. comparing it with building a building, yes, a structure. I will also liken it to maintenance. And this time around, my analogy will be that of maintaining a vehicle. When you're using a vehicle, day after day, month after month, year after year, and you do not maintain it, you do not service it, it breaks down. So, lack of maintenance in marriages is a factor. A relationship, a union needs to be maintained, needs to be serviced. And how do you go about that? It has to do with caring, it has to do with loving, it has to do with listening, it has to do with talking, it has to do with perseverance, it has to do with tolerance. For the religious ones, prayers help. Even the non-religious ones, once in a while, they still need that aura of intervention by the higher forces, because you're on a journey. You need each other. You need to listen to each other. You need, whenever my wife, for instance, says, "Honey, you're not listening to me," I get scared because I knew something must be, I must be doing something wrong at that particular time. And she knows that is one of the best ways of getting my attention. I mean, there will be issues. You will quarrel. You will disagree. But because you are in that union, you are in that relationship, you are in that institution, you find ways of mending it. You find ways of getting back on track.
Definitely.
There's a lot of pressure from out there. There's a lot of financial pressure. The economy is not that buoyant. You need you need extra effort to keep that union going. Talking about the Nigerian space. And there's a lot of distractions as well. A lot of distractions. So it's like you're managers. You're managers. Both of you are managers. And you need to make a decision that you want this to work. That is one thing. The other thing I've always had the cause to say, is if you get an advice, if you must get an advice, get it from the right quarters. But do not say no to a good advice. Do not throw, particularly elderly advice, off. But let me just stop at that point. Unfortunately, I think it's about time for me to get on my train.
Okay.
I don't know whether the Wi-Fi will still work there, but I'll keep trying.
Thanks so much, Mr.
Thanks, everyone.
Ajay. Thanks so much.
All right.
So I'll go to Dr. Vicky now. So in Nigeria, marriage is regarded as an institution or union between a man and a woman who decide to cohabit, forsaking and giving up some degree of identity, entitlements, and rights. Why are these difficult to maintain in modern times? It's a bit of a lengthy one. Do you want me to go over?
Yes, please.
Yeah, so the key themes are that, marriage as recognized in Nigeria is between a man and a woman, is an institution, and, couple, it is expected that they forsake and give us some degree of their identity, entitlement, and rights, for the union or the marriage to work. So why is this so difficult to achieve in these modern times?
There are so many reasons why it can be a struggle. for each member of that union to be able to do that. We look at the economic reasons. We look at, you know, difficulties all around. And, you know, with Nigeria, it's always one thing after the other. So when you're asking somebody to give up their identity, even though in the Bible, even as a Christian, I'm a Christian, so I can only quote what I know. The Bible instructed men to forsake their families and be one with their wives. But when you now put the situation of things into that mix, the man the man gets a job in Abuja, the wife lives in Lokoja. Look at that distance. Look at that distance. Talking on the phone with the system and the Wi-Fi and everything that doesn't work properly, and these guys, they are not able to see each other for months. You want them to maintain, leave everything else and just be one. But what would make a man to leave his wife and the children in Lokoja and goes to Abuja because of job, financial situation? Because if he stays with the wife, what are they going to eat? How about those that leave their partners and their wives overseas in Lagos? I mean, in London or in Canada, and they are in Nigeria. So when we talk about the identity, we're talking about me being able to give the authority to my husband, and him being the leader of the house, and we working together. But when I'm the one in Canada with the kids, I become the husband, I become the father and the mother at the same time. And I get used to doing that job. So by the time we come together, just guess what tends to happen. Because now I'm so used to managing the house, the home front, and doing everything on my own. I mow the grass, I pay the bills, I make the money, I manage the finances, I make everything work. Meanwhile, the husband is in Nigeria. Oh, it gets contradictory. It gets harder, and it's the situation of things over there that makes it so difficult,
Yeah,
and many
absolutely.
others.
Yeah, absolutely. You've made, just to reiterate some of the few points you've raised around the dynamics around relationships and marriages. They're quite different to the traditional marriages that we all grew
Mm,
up to know with our
mm,
parents, with uncles. In terms of the economics of it, that has changed significantly in terms of who is the traditional breadwinner of the family,
exactly.
and the
Mm,
responsibilities around that, and also the geography of it. That you've said, we have cases where maybe the man has a good job. I know a few examples where the man has a good job, probably even in Nigeria or any other part of Africa, and then is happy to retain that job and move the wife and the kids to, for example, Canada or any US or wherever, even Australia, and
mm,
then shuttling between the two. But the woman is here doing her own thing, you know, being the father, the mother, and working, and a lot of things. So, and then we've had cases of, forget about even the economics of it. We've had about the issue around infidelity. People have joked, you leave your wife in Canada in the cold, so you guess what is going to happen if she has
mm,
to go through Canadian winter, every a year or two in the cold there. Your guess is as good as mine how she's gonna cope.
mm,
Or you leave your man in Nigeria, where with all the distraction around him, so exactly. So it's a very, very confusing, trend, but it's just that you added something around social media and like, who are these influencers? who is influencing who. It's just you look at marriage counselors, like people, the self-appointed marriage counselors and all that. That what do they even tell people?
Exactly.
Yeah. So I'll
And
go to
on that, Wale, I'm a firm believer that any topa mada shoro ni tonu elawo.
yeah. That's
Let me try and interpret that,
yeah.
Abi.
Please do.
If you can help me, do it
I
for me.
will. I will. I'll see. Yeah.
Hmm.
Definitely.
What do you have to give? What can I see on you to say I want what this person have? When you present yourself with your wife, and you both look good, there are young people that are watching. But when there's somebody who had failed marriages, or who is dating a married man because a marriage failed, or she has 2 3 kids for 3 different men, and this person is trying to give you marriage advice, and you are following this person back to back, you're watching all our videos and all that kind of stuff, that says a lot about you. It's not about them, because they're not even begging you to follow them, but it's all about you, because you ingest whatever they are vomiting. They say all these things, whether it makes sense or not. You're listening to them, you're ingesting these things. You become like the kind of sponge that we use for babies in Nigeria. That sponge, you put it
Whatever
inside
absorbs.
water, it soaks up water, like boom. You become that, because when somebody doesn't even have much to say, to encourage you, and you're just listening to whatever they're vomiting, what are you doing to yourself? I heard of somebody, a man that actually broke his relationship with a lady that watches and follows a particular influencer. This influencer had no life. She is a type that dated, or still dates, married men and all that kind of stuff, and she had built this stuff pack of cards on nonsense, because you watch her, you listen to her, it's just rubbish. But there are women, married women, quite disappointing, watching and listening to this woman, giving them tricks, making dating men outside their relationship a normal thing, thing that is okay. Come on.
Yeah, I talking about. I think the person. I think she's based in the UK, and she's,
No,
you
no.
know, she's not the presenter is not based. Okay, there are many of them anyway.
This
That's
this one is in Nigeria. She's called the one that I'm talking about. She's Blessing CEO.
okay. So I think
So she's currently in police custody. I'm not sure if they've released her now.
okay,
So much stuff going on there for her with,
going on there.
you know. mm.
Yeah. So if you just join us, you are on your number one show, our number one show, the Nigeria we want. So today we just discussing on the foundation of the family, the foundation of a society, really, marriage, and we're looking at the rates of breakup in marriages in Nigeria. We're looking at, especially among young couples. So we're just trying to analyze and dissect the topic and look at what are the issues, and we hope by the end of the show, we'll be able to provide some practical ideas on how we can live better, as couples, and how we can, build that strong foundation for our society. So it's looking like just me and Dr. Vicky, for now. I think we're capable. Mr. Shodemi joined us earlier from UK, and we've lost Mr. Elvis Nwashiko, who is currently in Lagos, Nigeria. So I'll move to the next, my next question has to do with divorce itself. Like, from the available statistics, about 70% of marriage breakup are actually initiated by women. So what do you think is responsible for this? Why are women, making the move. Like from the statistic that we have, 70% of those breakups are actually initiated by women. Why?
Why? 70%, that is very high, and that is saying a lot about what will make a woman to say, have had enough. Mostly women are, they try to make things work. They work hard to, to put so much into that relationship. But what will push a woman to say, I've had enough? It's like when you start pushing a goat, it gets to a point that goat will turn back and say, enough is enough. You know, um, in some cases, when you marry a man that is not well trained, marriage can't train such a man. You can try, you can get into that relationship with the mindset of, it will change. I will change him. And then you get in there, the behavior continues. You're married, but you are more like married single. Your life is more like you're single, but in name, you bear somebody else's name, but your life, everything is like you're single. You've got kids, you're still the one taking care of those kids, paying their school fees. You are the one paying for the roof that you both live in. You are the one doing everything. He doesn't lift finger, and he makes money. The money goes on himself. I've seen couples, I've cancelled couples that the man, I mean, his money that he was making was his own money. He was riding beautiful cars. And this woman with 3 kids was riding jalopika, all right? And she wasn't allowed to go and buy clothes for herself. She wasn't allowed. So this woman will go and buy secondhand. Not, we are not even talking in Nigeria, we're talking about here. We'll go and buy secondhand clothes for herself and her children. This man will come out. You won't believe that that woman is the wife. He'll wear beautiful, lovely suits. He'll get out of Ben's car. And the woman was riding like 20-something-year-old car. Not just the car. So she will pay the school fees. She will pay the house for the house. Even there was a time he took the card to the place where the real estate agent and say, here's my card, can you just withdraw for half of the rent, because that's my pay for the rent of the house. You know what I mean? That the real estate agent had to say, we don't do that here. You pay the full rent. What are you talking about? You can't be asking us to speak. This is not a cafe where you spill the bills.
The
You know what I
bill.
mean? And that started even well before when they were in Nigeria. So you cannot, as a woman, if you are dating a man that this behavior is a behavior that the mother and the father didn't even train him to be able to behave like adults and behave well, and you think when you get into that relationship it will change, you're wasting your time. Totally. And this
Totally.
happens again and again and again. Now, when you talk about change is a process. Change is a process. And change starts with you knowing that you have a problem. Change starts with you admitting. Knowing is one thing. The next step is you admitting, yes, I had this problem. I don't know how to do this. I don't know, and I'm ready to learn. And you are actively working towards change, then something will happen. But in most cases, you are the woman that can see all these things. But maybe because you're desperate, maybe because you think you have a magic wand to make that guy
To
change,
change,
and then
yeah.
you just walk into it. And then the same story 10 years later. 15 years later, it's still the same person that wakes up, that doesn't brush his teeth. He doesn't put his shoe to where the shoe rack is. He doesn't take his plate, take it to the sink. He doesn't help you in the kitchen. He doesn't help you with the kids. As you are washing the dishes, you are washing the clothes, you are making soup, you are sweeping the compound all over you. At the end of the day, you think that at the end of the day, you do all these things. At night time, is there bugging you. You sit down and say, enough is enough. Let me kuku be on my own. I'm already kuku doing everything. So what's your usefulness? So in most cases, that's the problem. The genesis of the problem is untrained men getting into the relationship because of they are getting too old or whatever, and then they get in there, they remain untrained because you
Okay,
can't.
can we say a combination of untrained men and
Mhm.
untrained women, because it goes both ways. Like there are men that are not really prepared for marriage, and equally there are women that are not prepared for it. That aside from the glamour of actually
Being married.
appearing as married or
Mm,
appearing as a couple and all the social symbol attached to it, some are not
mm,
ready to do the ad yard. The ad yard is what really happens behind the closed doors. The ad
mhm,
yard is the commitments you do take into it, and the ad yard is that, especially if you get into marriage early, the ad yard is recognizing that as hard as it is that you are now married, and then you're still surrounded by men. Maybe I'm talking from experience. You're still surrounded by younger friends who, by every chance, they are still very free. And they still, because they are free, they still want to do what free men. What they do is they still want to catch fun and do whatever. So I think it's just you got to realize that as much as you see yourself as, if you marry, say maybe in your maybe mid-20s and all that, there's still that level. Is if that's for men, that is just like the time is just coming out. Like everything around you. If you're having a job, you're having the best of job. If
mhm,
you coming out looking good, you having some money to look after yourself. You're really looking good. You get a lot of attractions here and there. So it's just a time for you to know that whatever the society or every people around you are telling you, you are now actually committed to someone. And to make it work, you have to do that. I think based on just talking to people and from experiential kind of knowledge on my part, I think that's that's a major problem. Like there's still most young couples that, especially men that still want to live their lives as if nothing has changed. They still want to catch up with their friends till late in the night. They still want to go out and do most of the things that maybe some of their colleagues are still doing, because maybe some of their colleagues are not married. That's also a trend. And my next question, it has to do with, I wanted to really address issues around attitudes, because attitudes are, so it's not uncommon these days when you read about things. You still read, maybe it's has to do with our culture, specific reference to Nigeria, because the show is about Nigeria. We see you still read a lot, and sometimes I ask myself, what does this really mean about this argument around submissiveness? You read comments like, if you can't be submissive, you have to go to your parents' home, you have to be submissive to a man. And it has been overused that I don't even as a man, I don't get that concept of what people really mean when they're saying that, they emphasize this area of submissiveness, that just they want their wives to be submissive. I just don't understand what it means. And I know I've been in this business for, for a long time, but it's still a concept that I still try to really understand what they really mean. Do you mean that you've got to have mutual respect for each other and be able to do things in a way that is respectful and polite? Or you looking at it is that the traditional ways of our grandparents, where they are like the Lord, just telling people sit down there, and they sit
and
down
that's
there.
it.
So
Mm,
that is one on the part of men. What I've also noticed also with this idea of emancipation, women emancipation, maybe bordering on feminism and all that. So could they just try and just oppose the two? On the part of men, submissiveness arguments, and also on the part of women, the emancipation, equal rights. How does that really fit in within the marriage?
I mean, I do lots of counseling of couples, people getting into their relationships, or they're getting into marriage, or they're already in it and they're having issues. See, those are the things you guys need to that people need to work out first before they even get into it. Now, when you go back into people's relationships, you go back to where each person is coming from. Before I mentioned something, I said everyone coming into a relationship, they are coming with their baggages.
Yep.
Their red bag, their yellow bag, they're full of all sorts of things. And in those bags, you will have um, you have their values, you have the experiences, not their own personal experiences, but what they watch their parents do, what they watch their aunties and their uncles, what happened in those relationships. They are bringing all these things into the marriage because their father, the father of this woman, cheated on the mother, treated the mother really badly. She'll come into this relationship, she's bringing all that baggage in it. So what do you expect? What will she be doing? She'll be checking the man's phone because of her experience. She cannot, she finds it difficult to differentiate, to be able to say, okay, this guy is not my dad, is my husband. There are things that you guys will need to talk about first. That is the foundation aspect of things. Going deep into it. Your experiences, what were they like? Your mom, your dad, their relationships. And like chess players, second guessing the next 2, 3 steps of what could arise as time goes on. Okay. And having that open talk, open connections to be able to say, all right, in this our relationship, we are not them. Okay. How about we work together, we have some words around when you're feeling threatened, what you say, so I understand you. And then I'm able to come to that level to be able to say this and this about this. You're talking about some men, not all of them, some men that want a woman that is submissive. When they are talking about being submissive, they are wanting a woman, a yes, 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 sir kind of woman. You want me to jump? How high do you want me to jump?
Mhm.
That's the kind of woman that they want. And such men are the type that admires women that have authority, that are powerful. But they want a woman that
That's so
would be.
ironic. That's so ironic.
It's so ironic.
Yeah.
It's so ironic. I mean, even here, we're not even Nigerians here. I mean, 2, 3 couples like that the women wanted to go ahead and do more studies. Um, and it was the husband that kept saying, "Oh, no, 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 you're not built for that. You can't do that." Today they are all professionals. They went ahead because I said to them, you can, and I backed them on it. Why were they being stopped? Their partners, their husbands were stopping them because they were feeling threatened. And feeling threatened wasn't because it's their ego that was playing in there. And I
Mhm.
mean, I found that so, I mean, to me, it was a bit funny that you have four hands, only two is working, and you have a woman that said, "I'm ready. I want to go back to university. I want to do this. I can do it." And you're saying to that woman, not one, not two, not one, not two. And I'm talking from people that I actually got in there and I got my hand in there. That no, you can't be stopped. You can do this. Go for it. And they're stopping them, telling them that you don't know maths, yeah, And they were trying to find everything
So
negative
prevent them from
to
going
prevent them
into
from going.
further studies, and I think it's more
Exactly.
about power and control, and I guess
Power
maybe
and control.
and a
So
sense of insecurity, I guess, on the part,
exactly.
on
You said it
on
all.
the
On
part
the
of
part of those men.
of any
Yes.
man. Like
Mm,
the,
mm,
the way I look at it, they are different personality profiles. Some are more out there, like doing things.
mm,
Um, some are more just they are more the quieter type, and some are more just active within. If I would use my wife, she's more active within the church than
mm.
than anywhere else. That is where our energy and everything. That is her.
Goes.
You
Mhm.
hardly see her in other areas. That is just her. And I know that within every family, you see what interests people and what they do. But I think that you got to have to be there to support each other. I used to have the joke
That's
that look,
it.
if you want to make more money, make more money. I'll go help you spend the money well. Like, because we do things
Mm,
together. And I'm sure that
mm.
if I also make money, we spend it together.
Exactly.
It doesn't really make much difference where that money is
Mm,
coming from. So far
exactly.
as trust and there's understanding, you can make it work.
Mm,
Just as the time is fast spent, is like, is this, we should have a part two of this.
mm.
In terms of way forward, it's good that you're sharing experiences of things that you've been involved from just a general kind of a summary. What is the way out of this for people? Are you the young couple in Nigeria, or even older couple that are going through life challenges and things that are becoming stressful? What are your thoughts on the way out of this?
I'll share this. I used to go to Hillsong Church. My pastor then, Pastor John, and his wife Sarah, they were young couples, still young couples. But from the day one that they got married, they've always gone for marriage counseling. Counseling before problem arises. I talked about chess game. You plan 2 3 steps ahead. If I take this step, this can happen. If I take this step, this can happen. So before anything happens, we have that open communication with somebody who knows us, who knows the marriage setup, who is also living that good life that we wanted. And then we make it a point to go and speak to that person once a month. And this is something that I encourage couples to do. Issues do arise. Issues do arise. In the past, I don't really share much about my husband. It's me. I'm a social, when it comes to social media platforms, I'm the loud one. My husband is the quiet one. He doesn't even know how to use them. Or it's just that I get frustrated with so much marriages going down the drain. I get frustrated with people, just it's not working for most people. And it's not like we don't have our stuff. We deal with it, we talk through it, and we have a mentor that we talk to. And the mentor is somebody that have a great marriage that we both admire. We admire this couple so much. This couple, they are blessed, they are fantastic, they are great. That we just said, okay, this couple, they are our people. Because since I was 8 years old that I met these people, I've always wanted to be. I love this woman. I want to be like her. You know what I mean? So
So
now,
keep it
what?
short, Dr. Vicky. Producer is warning me to
Oh,
keep it.
sorry, sorry, producer. All right. So the main thing is be mindful of who is influencing you. Stop triangulating. When I say triangulating, your issues, they are your issues. When you take your issues to your wife's parent, what do you think will happen? By the time you resolve your issues, they're still holding grudges against you. Triangulation is her, family, or friends, or anybody up there. So you are taking your issues out of this and this to this, Don't do that. The best thing to do is to have a registered counselor, accredited counselor. They've gone through the training, they've been accredited. I'm not talking about pastors. Most pastors' marriages are failing like crazy. Those that we know, those that we don't know. So be mindful of that also. So look for accredited counselors, make sessions, talk to them, open up, and get different ideas about how to make your relationship work.
Thank you so much, Dr. Vicky Omifolaji. I definitely will recommend that we look for a time to talk over this. I think there are so other areas, that we are here to unpack on this topic. So a bit of summary: solid foundation is very important to marriages. So couples should try to build solid foundation because that will, in the long run, that will determine how the length of that marriage is very important to build it on very solid foundation. Egmont Yemisi spoke earlier about maintenance culture. That is good. Just like he used the analogy of buying a car, that if you buy a car, you want it to last long, you need to maintain that car, from time to time. So he spoke about the need for just continuous, maintenance of that relationship, because we go through different stages of lives. And that 24-year-old woman you married, or 25-year-old man you married, will become bold-headed 50-year-old man or 60-year-old man. And you still have to look for something other than his beautiful face, whatever, to be able to still have love and genuinely admire him. The prayers is very important within our social, political, and cultural context. It is good to be prayerful and to put things that are outside our control, to put it in the hands of the old man upstairs looking after us. Dr. Vicky spoke about triangulation. Don't get people involved. People that are not supposed to know about your problems, keep them out of your marriage, and look for a qualified, counselor, people that are trained and certified to do that. Go to them from time to time, not necessarily when there are problems. So I will stop there and I'll pass on the baton to Dr. Vicky to close the show. Dr. Vicky Omifolaji, over to you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ali Olaito. Great moderation as per usual. Thank you. And you're still keeping your award as the intercontinental moderator. And to all our viewers around the world that joined us as we discuss this great topic, we want to appreciate you. Thank you. And thank you. For those that will be watching this later, thank you. And just make comments. Let us know your thoughts about this. We will have a part 2 of this because it's a topic that is important. As we have young people coming behind us, that they need to see a beauty in great marriages, beauty of what great marriages do bring in terms of health, in terms of mental health, in terms of wealth, and so many other things. So we would definitely do another show on this. So thank you everybody for joining us. To our producer, we appreciate you. Thank you for your hard work in making this to work. We will be back again next Friday, same time. In Australia, we've changed the time, so we will be back 8:30 Australian time, Melbourne time, and still 11:30 a.m. in Nigeria. We will see you all there. Happy Easter to you all. Have a lovely Easter break, and you all take care. God bless. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
The Nigeria we want. Great Nigeria. Of Africa. Nigeria we want. Great Nigeria. The Nigeria we want. With Vicky Omifolaji. Yeah, me show the moon. Wale your light on. I can see what you cool. The Nigeria we want. Great Nigeria. Pacific Ocean. The Nigeria we want. Great Nigeria.